1984's Police Academy is an uplifting comedy about a group of misfits steadily overcoming the odds. Its inspiration comes from an observation made by the film's producer Paul Maslansky. While working on a film in San Francisco in the early 1980s, he noticed a police unit with an unusually wide mix of humanity for the time.
It was the most diverse group of policemen I had ever seen. There were men and there were women and there were every color of the rainbow and fat and thin. And I called the cadre officer over, a sergeant. He said, well, look, we have a fair employment hiring practice here. And we have to take in virtually everybody that applies to the academy. And then he looked around and he winked. He said, but we can flunk them out after 3 weeks.
This film recently won a community poll on my channel against some heavyweight competition, including Spinal Tap, The Naked Gun, and Galaxy Quest. Police Academy would have been a more salacious piece if it hadn't been for director Hugh Wilson's reservations about the screenplay. Wilson was no fan of what he saw as the gross Porky's-style humour that was all the rage at the time, and he tried to dilute that by demanding extensive rewrites. Many of the gags that were removed ultimately found their way back in after demands from executives of the Ladd company that produced the film, but the screenplay would never be as raw as the original. And what they ended up with was a film that would appeal to a much broader audience, not just the teens it was originally aimed at. But direction and screenplay were only two strengths of Police Academy. The third was its outstanding cast, at the center of which was a young Steve Guttenberg.
It was exciting. I was just starting out. I just got done with Diner, and I wore my father's police shirt from the academy. My dad was a police officer.
Guttenberg was a rising star at the time, and this film would cement his reputation and show his versatility. He appears in 2 more of my DVDs, playing serious roles in The Boys from Brazil and the nuclear drama The Day After.
Right away he had an attitude which was perfect, and we saw it. And the screen test was terrific.
And around Guttenberg they assembled a cast of talented actors who played their misfit characters expertly, getting us all rooting for them from the start. So let's take a good look at that cast, and we'll save George Gaines till last because he has the most fascinating history of all the cast members.
I want to be a police officer.
What? I can't hear you.
Marion Ramsey, who played the bashful Laverne Hooks, was an established singer, songwriter, and Broadway performer.
And she's a mild, meek, timid little sort of creature.
She managed to land the role with an hysterical impression of a musical icon.
And she said, would you like to read? And I said to myself, I met Michael Jackson last night. He said, you girls were so good. I love this show. And he kissed me on the cheek. And I said, yes. And they said, you don't have to read. We're going to test you Monday.
Donovan Scott made his film debut in Steven Spielberg's comedy 1941. He also made an appearance in the Olivia Newton-John music video Physical, and he made it immediately clear at his audition that he was more than capable of the physical comedy required in the film.
They called me in, I swung the door open and then walked through it and did a flip and flew into the air and landed on my back.
Donovan has a long list of credits to his name after Police Academy, and he also wrote, directed and starred in a film called The Children of Captain Grant.
Who's next?
That's me!
I'd love to go. We'll both go.
Actress Leslie Easterbrook seems nothing like the uniform dominatrix she plays on screen.
Debbie Callahan is just a wonderful, strong, tough, and no-nonsense woman. And I really had to work in order to do the audition. She was described as a female Wayne Newton with a mustache, 45 years old. And I nearly shot my agent.
Her most notable claim to fame before Police Academy was 51 appearances in the popular sitcom Laverne and Shirley. She's also a talented singer who sang the national anthem at the Super Bowl.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight?
So do you think of me as an authority figure?
Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd have married you years ago.
Oh, no, sir. No, not you.
What's your name?
Jones. Larville Jones.
Cadet Mahoney, report immediately to the Commandant's office. Cadet Mahoney.
Michael Winslow's amazing vocal talents had already provided him with a successful stand-up career before Police Academy came along.
You! All right, everybody, beat him up!
As well as appearing in all 7 films of the franchise, he would voice Mogwai in Gremlins, star in Spaceballs, and earn many more movie credits. He would also compete in this famous talent show in 2021.
Hey! Hi there! How y'all doing?
Oh, we know you.
Good to see you.
Repeat, all cadets report immediately to the dormitory parking lot in full riot gear. This is not a drill.
Was that you?
No, man.
Despite his youthful looks, Andrew Rubin was actually in his late 30s when the film was shot. He met with success as an actor and writer before and after Police Academy, but his interest waned when he went on what he described as a walkabout. He started to explore the world with his wife Lauren, which included a long stint living with a tribe of Aboriginals in a remote part of Australia.
To me, marriage is a sacred institution. So tell me, you and the wife do it doggy style or what?
It was a multi-talented Bruce Marler who played the accident-prone Doug Fackler in the film, and his interest in acting was pretty much a sideshow to his other talents.
Honey, don't worry. I'll be okay. Everything will be okay.
He first rose to fame with his comedy routines on TV shows, utilizing his musical skills and his amazing radio voice.
25 minutes on the short side of 6 o'clock. 765-8268 is the big request line, so why don't you give me a call, huh?
After Police Academy, he would create his very own production company, as well as continue his career on film and television, including a recurring role in Seinfeld.
Can you get my kitty cat out of the tree?
No problem, ma'am.
Oh, no, wait!
I don't like to think of myself as a maniac, but I think the rest of the world does, so I might as well succumb to it and just enjoy it.
David Graff played my own personal favorite character, Eugene Tackleberry, the trigger-happy recruit who saw weapons as the answer to every problem. David's acting experience before landing the role was limited to 1 film and 4 different TV show appearances. His experience beyond Police Academy would be a catalogue of big TV shows of the 80s and 90s, including Star Trek Voyager and Deep Space Nine. And his services were also very much in demand by the Screen Actors Guild. He was a union rep who worked tirelessly for the welfare of actors through several of their committees.
Son, where did you get this gun?
My mom gave it to me.
You people are going to hate my guts for the rest of your lives. I am going to make you sorry that you ever came here.
G.W. Bailey was born in Texas, where he attended the same high school as Janis Joplin and sports analyst Jimmy Johnson. His first film role alongside Chuck Norris was preceded by appearances in Chips, Charlie's Angels and Starsky and Hutch. Next would come a 14-episode stint in MASH as Luther Rizzo, but the real breakthrough would be his role in Police Academy, playing the character we all love to hate, but love anyway, Captain Harris.
We'll never make it! Sir, I'm terribly sorry, but I seem to have ripped my pants.
Bailey has built a list of credits as long as his arm since then, and shows no signs of easing up, right here in the 2020s. But at preview screenings for Police Academy, test audiences had a clear favourite as far as characters were concerned, and that character wasn't even played by a career actor. In truth, it was probably Bubba Smith's legendary status in American football that aided Hightower's huge popularity with that US test audience. He played for 3 different NFL teams in the 60s and 70s, and he was one of the game's most feared opponents. As his playing career was winding down, he began to build a new career as a guest on sports shows and by appearing on entertainment shows such as The Odd Couple, Wonder Woman, and Taxi. That new career would blossom after Police Academy, and he'd make many more film and TV appearances, including one of my favorite American sitcoms, Married with Children. They're inseparable on screen and in the DVD extras, and in real life they are.
We got into the academy because Well, obviously, Scott and I were the kind of guys that, used to get beat up a lot in playgrounds.
No one else would have us.
No one else would have us. So we decided that we were going to go in so that we could ferret out people like this. The one that we had the hardest to do with Steve was the fight scene. Because we come in, and I took mashed potatoes, and I threw it on his shirt. And Donovan Scott came by with his tray and just hit Scott right in the face. And we could never get it right because I kept cracking up. Because Scott would just give one of these, "See you Tuesday," and just drop out of frame. And I couldn't. Guttenberg and I were just laughing our heads off. And then we go, "Okay, let's do it again." And this Wilson's starting to get a little mad at us because we couldn't stop laughing. Try this.
Born in Britain but raised in Canada, Kim Cattrall made appearances in a string of TV shows before claiming fame in Porky's 2 years before Police Academy. A long list of films followed, but perhaps her most famous role was Samantha Jones in the hit 90s TV show Sex and the City.
First of all, I'd like to say how sorry I am that...
And so we come to George Gaines and his fascinating history.
I think you'll find the presentation interesting as well as very, very stimulating.
Gaines was born in Helsinki, Finland, to Russian and Dutch parents, and during his childhood he would be schooled in England, Switzerland and France. And it was in France in 1940 that Gaines, now a young man, managed to avoid the clutches of Hitler's invading Nazi armies. He did so by escaping to Spain, but he was arrested by Franco's military police and was imprisoned until 1942.
I'm trapped here?
Well, yes, we all are.
After his release, he joined the Royal Dutch Navy at Harbour in the UK, but because of his ability to speak 5 different languages, he was soon detached to Britain's Royal Navy. One of the Royal Navy ships he served on was HMS Wilton, which was actively involved in the invasion of Anzio in 1944. After the war, he returned to France to work in musical theatre, through which he was offered a part on Broadway by an American theatre director. Gaines accepted the offer and never looked back. He became a US citizen in 1948 and earned a growing reputation on Broadway throughout the 1950s. Television would call in the 1960s, and he starred in 2 of the most popular daytime soaps of the time. He would also appear in some of the most notable films of the 70s and early 80s. Then came Police Academy, and Eric Lessard would become the most famous part he would ever play. He would return the compliment by starring in all 7 films of the franchise.
Well, I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. There's plenty more to come from my DVD collection, including thrillers, comedies, action, science fiction, drama, adventure, and horror.